Hello, and welcome to Rule of Thirds, a conversation about art, design, and culture, with your hosts,
Burns,
Mike,
and Jude.
If this is your first time listening, welcome to the family. Be sure to follow us on our Instagram at Rule of Thirds Pod. Don't be shy to say hi. All right, now to the episode. Overthinking is simply the act of thinking about something too much or for too long. What are your experiences like with overthinking? The boys discuss their experiences with overthinking, as well as the ways that they work around it when the issue arises. Or is it really an issue? Where does it come from? The boys discuss this and a lot more because we like to delve from topic to topic. Enjoy the episode. All right, guys. So what up? How has everyone been? How's everyone's week's been? What's good?
This week has been amazing. I can't lie.
Okay, amazing's good.
Yeah. It's been a really good week. I think I'm like starting to settle into this whole freelance thing, and it's just like I miss having free time and like working. Like, yeah, it's just sometimes I guess it's nice to kind of just be your boss for once again. Not to say that it's gonna be permanent, but definitely like taking it all in. So yeah, it's been a really good week. What about you, Burns?
Yeah, my week's been amazing, man. I actually welcomed in one girl and one boy into the world by the grace of God. Not me myself.
I was thinking like, what you mean by? I was thinking Burns.
No, the way you worded that, I am the father
That came out different. I was like, bro, Burns, is that what you're on?
I said, I've been doing midwife duty.
Yeah, like on the weekends, just like chuck it in. Man said it's just a bit of community service, like just 2 hours, pop a few babies and head back home.
Do not finish me. But it's kind of cool, man, because literally, like, my birthday is in March as well, so I'm like, all my... But you know what I realised as well? March is a crazy month. Like, everyone's got a birthday. I've been giving out money left, right and centre. So it's been an interesting month. But I'm really... this week's been cool, man. I feel like I stepped into my creative bag this week, which has been fun. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Michael, what about you?
Me, I've been alright, So from obviously last week we shared that we got our desks, so I've just been sorting out that setup, and it's been nice just having a dedicated space. I bought a few more bits, like a mat, a stand, so it's coming together nicely and stuff. If I'm being honest, I've probably kind of felt a bit worn out, if that makes sense. Close to burning out, but not all the way there, right, and stuff. And I think it's probably been because of coming to a year of lockdown and stuff. I think freelancing throughout this time, it's been good, but it has been a lot. So I'm kind of the opposite of you, Jude, at the moment. I'm kind of okay, I'm ready to call it a day and just if in a perfect world, if we were not ruled by the forces of capitalism, I would just be on a farm somewhere doing something.
Like
but
Thanos.
Making plantains.
Hey,
that'll be like
do you know how funny
Thanos.
that film is, fam? Man blew up
I'm
the world
snapping
to
half
go
of
do
the
farming.
world. And then I'm gonna go to my garden and fry plantain.
Oh, he's tapped.
But he was enjoying. He was living life, and me too. That's what I would like. To a degree. To be honest, I'd probably just want to, because I've been asking myself this question a lot this week, especially towards the end of this working week. What would I want to do? What would I do if not for fear, if not for money and stuff? And I think that's really got me thinking about the next steps that I want to take moving forward with my career and just life in general. So I've spent this like week thinking a lot about stuff, and I've reflected on like the past year, and even as you guys have seen, like I shared a post on Instagram that's titled "The Dangers of Overthinking," and that kind of has kind of like, I guess, summarized in a way how I felt, because I've just constantly been thinking about stuff. And I think sometimes when you think about stuff to an extent, you just almost like paralyze yourself and stop yourself from doing certain things. So I think that's why I was in a bit of a funk, because I was almost like reflecting on things that I hadn't yet done, but also just thinking to the extent that I just didn't do anything because I've literally just been sat thinking about a lot of things. And even with some freelancing projects as well, like similar thing, like I'm overthinking the projects to a degree where I'm not actually doing the work, but I'm just like crunching everything. You know, like when you're like, let's say you're crunching a biscuit like down or like trying to choose my words carefully. Like crumble
take a left turn. No, I was like, wait, what?
For real. So you know when you like crumble a biscuit, in a bag, for example, like if you're making a cheesecake and you're like crumbling it more and more, and then it becomes like a powder, and it's like you can't actually crumble it more than it is. I feel like that's where I'm at the moment. So it's like, okay, you can't actually think anymore. You're not doing anything. Stop
Full
it.
capacity.
You know? So yeah, I'm just trying to like just get over any fears, any worries, and just kind of do certain things that I know that I need to do. So yeah, that's kind of been my week. But yeah, overthinking, massive problem. Do you guys English. Let me start again. Would you guys say that you struggle with overthinking, or how do you overcome overthinking for you guys personally? What do you guys do?
Oh boy, but I don't even know what to even say. I think, most definitely, of course. I think it's a tough one. Because I think overthinking comes because I'm scared of failing. If that makes sense. So oftentimes I find myself in like places where it's like, I want this thing to bang, so I need to make sure it bangs. But then, because I want it to bang, I'm now thinking of like the greatest theory or greatest strategy ever, and it fries my brain. Yeah. What about you, Jude?
I mean, I've been like overthinker by nature, like since I was young anyway, just because like I'm always like, I don't know, I've just been a paranoid human being since I was young, so it's natural for me to kind of overthink, and I've just kind of worked my way around seeing it as a bad thing and just figuring out how I could like benefit from the process, because it's gonna happen regardless. So it just, for me, it's like I don't fight it anymore. I just kind of figure out, okay, cool, if I'm gonna overthink, for example, like a project, then I'm gonna figure out how I'm going to use that time to find out the potholes in my idea and create solutions for something that hasn't happened yet, but with the possibility of it happening. So at least I'm being productive in the process, rather than just like, oh, I like, if this doesn't do this, then that's it, it's all over. I always say, okay, if this doesn't happen, then I'm gonna do this. If that doesn't happen, I'm gonna do that. And if that doesn't happen, I'm gonna do this, and then create some kind of timeline for myself. Because like that, for me, I it's very hard for me to kind of get out of that funk when I'm in it. Like my brain would just like go into the darkest parts of of the universe, thinking about every single thing that could possibly go wrong. So what I end up doing is just literally, okay, cool. It's almost like playing chess with your brain, you know. So it's I think for me that overthinking, I definitely hear it though. I can't lie, it's draining as hell. It's just like sometimes it feels more like a workout than an actual workout, because you're there and you just suddenly feel so exhausted, and you're like, why am I so exhausted? And you realize it's just because you've been sitting down thinking like so much, like brain like with smoke coming out your head type vibe, you know. So I definitely hear you on that.
What are signs of like overthinking? I guess same. I don't know. Would you say burnout comes after overthinking, or does burnout come before? I don't know. What would you guys say? Because Michael was saying he felt burnt out.
What did he say? It was close to?
Like close to, yeah. I don't know. I'd probably say, overthinking comes probably before. I'd say, because I know like in this case, that's all I've been doing. So it's literally like, okay, just constantly thinking, and it's been like this for maybe like a couple weeks, but I think just this week has been like a lot. I've just said, okay, no, it's actually a lot, let's start cutting it, because if care's not taken, it's probably going to get really, really bad.
Yeah,
Especially if you're not doing anything productive, because it can feel productive because you're thinking. And that's part of the process when it does come to like our creative work. Obviously, we have to think about the idea. Like, I think it was Issa Rae, because I have like a masterclass thing.
How's masterclass?
Money man,
it's really good.
Come on,
Yeah,
must be your password. Log in quickly. Let me just take a few.
You know what it is? I'd happily share it, but it's linked to my like Gmail. So I'm just like, if I send it to people, that's how I'm exposed. I'm actually exposed.
Masterclass, are you hearing this? Yeah, I'm not involved. This is a Judah.
Oh my God! Always trying to throw me under the bus.
This is the Judah Macro activity.
Oh, no,
last week you guys were mashing deets. Now you're doing some advancements. Wow.
Oh my gosh. Nah.
But yeah, go, Michael.
Yeah. So Issa Rae's class, I think it's titled "Creating Outside of like the Lines." So when she's talking about her writing process, one thing that she says is like, like you thinking about the idea, or even like drafting like the words in your mind is still part of the process, because you're ideating the idea and stuff.
Yeah.
So with us, especially as designers, like we kind of have to like see it to a degree, or obviously you have to like draw it out, write it out, get the thoughts on paper, but thinking about it is still a part of that process. So sometimes it does feel productive, but then it's like if you're constantly like turning those wheels again and again and again, gets tiresome, and then to a point where you might burn out, I guess. So I'd probably say that's why it's probably before the burnout.
I think the scariest part is just kind of like the amount of ideas I know for a fact I've had to put on hold because of like the overthinking. That's the part that freaks me out the most, because I have notebooks on notebooks and notebooks of me just clearly overthinking. Sometimes the simplest ideas of, okay, cool, post this picture. But I overthink, but wait, the legs aren't right. Let me just re-edit it and I'll edit. I like, you know what? Let me not even post it. This color scheme is completely different. Like simple things like that. Like I'll end up like just getting into my head about it, and I can tell you like for a fact that if I wasn't like an overthinker, there'd be so much work and so much. That's why I really envy people who can just work off like the strength. Like literally just be like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And it's like for me, I feel like I've had to work so freaking hard to push myself to get to the point where I do things on that first impulse with the faith that I have what it takes to kind of finish it off. So I'll be like, it's going to a point where now I have to literally force myself to be like, just start. And like, I don't even think about the consequences of me starting, but I'd rather start, and then when I start, I feel like almost the accountability. So I don't have even the space or time to kind of overthink. Like there's nothing, like it's already, everybody's seen it. I have to finish this. You know, I can't like suddenly pull myself out of it and go and overthink. There's no point. Use that time to just kind of get it done. You know, sounds like punishment, to be fair.
It is, to be honest, because like at the end of the day, you are being your own worst enemy by you're literally delaying yourself. Like I know with me, basically I am like, I say from time to time to myself, like, you know, sometimes you're your worst enemy, you know, it's not the devil or it's not, you know, whoever, one of your ops. It's really you're your own op. So it's that in my mind. And it's funny, actually, there's a project that I've literally had for like 3 years that I want to find a way to like, illustrate that relationship that you can have with yourself. So even me saying this is kind of like bit of accountability, I guess, put myself out there. We go. But literally like
the videos.
YouTube as well pending. But like, even with that, I know there's like a range of ideas that I'm really going off on a tangent, but like I know with that idea there's something I would definitely want to explore. But yeah, you're literally like your worst enemy by delaying yourself, thinking yourself to death, because at the end of the day, that's how it won't get done, and then you don't even learn from the mistakes that you might have made or might not have made, and you're literally like at the same spot. And I guess the consequences are you're at the same spot, then you may see other people going further ahead, and then even that comparison can even kill
Oh my god,
and stuff.
yeah.
Or some people might even do a similar idea, and it's not that they copied; they just had the similar idea and they did it first. Because they really say like for every idea, apparently there's like 10 other people with the same idea. So takes the pressure off as well when you know that too. But like obviously those things happen, and then like when I think about it, I don't want these ideas to die with me as well, or the work.
That's the scary part,
Or to there's so many instances that I've done it, or I've like played a project safe because I've been overthinking. I don't want to take.
But what does that mean? Playing a project safe though.
So
what were you scared of happening?
Right. So for one project that I worked on last year, it was still good, but I know that I could have done a lot more. And even with the opportunity that I had, I really could have just done a lot more. Like I look at it and I'm like, oh, like I'm happy, but I know like there's a lot more that could have been done. And so even something as small as like, so it's like a booklet kind of thing, yeah. So even something like the header text or like the header font, for example, or playing around with like,
overthinking.
It was mad because I think that was my first time in a situation where it was for a different kind of client. It was something bigger than I'd ever worked on like before. So like the stakes were different, working with different level of people in a sense. So I just kind of felt like a small fish you've just thrown into the ocean, like taking a goldfish and literally just going like that in the River Thames, and you're like, what the hell is this? The environment's different. There's a lot of different things that I'm facing at the same time. And it's mad because I was the sole designer on the project, and they saw me as the expert, and I was just there like in my head in meetings thinking, excuse me. I didn't see myself as the expert that they saw me to be, but I was the only designer on the team, so I had to assume that responsibility and position. But at the same time, I definitely felt out of my depth, and I felt like I don't know what I'm doing. And I think at times I allowed those feelings and those thoughts to kind of just like rule and take over the project, and I didn't take charge of it as much as I definitely could have and stuff. So yeah, it's one of those, I guess, like painful, bittersweet lessons that has got me thinking for the next time, don't do that again. But again, when you're faced with that another situation, you may battle with the same thoughts and stuff as well. So yeah,
I don't know if those kind of thoughts ever stop, to be fair. That's what I'm saying. Like for me, I just kind of like, I feel like
everything
you have to get to a point where
stop.
you know what I'm saying, you just kind of have to learn. It's almost like
you have to manage.
You know that feeling you get when you're going into a talk or an interview, or you're talking in front of people. There's a particular that feeling, that feeling that, you know what I'm saying, like it's just like almost like a sinking feeling in your belly. Like I don't think that ever goes away.
What about if I do this? What about if I do that? What about if I do this? Oh, I said like, that wrong. Or it's going to happen. But I mean, it's like, how do you manage it? Like one thing I know, for example, is that trials and hard times will come. But just because it comes doesn't mean I'm going to let that defeat me. But actually, how do I manage it? How do I make those things work for me, if that makes sense? In the same way, overthinking, like you're saying, overthinking is actually technically part of the process. If you're overthinking a lot, write down, journal those thoughts, voice note it, maybe. Do you get me? These are things that could potentially turn that negative into a positive.
Yeah.
And like, even that, on the basis of this conversation, I wanted to ask like, what contributes to like overthinking? Like, what are things in your life or things that you've noticed have contributed to like overthinking? Because one thing I could say is definitely lockdown. Obviously,
we all need therapy for that one.
Boy, my goodness. But like, what other things would you say like has contributed to your overthinking?
I mean, I was gonna say these are buzzwords that we probably have heard 1,000 times, but imposter syndrome, innit? That's the one that everyone has heard 1,000 times. It's just like Mike was saying right now. I was just thinking to myself, "Oh, here we go again. This bloody imposter syndrome." But it's like it's the thing that every creative, I think every creative has to go through or goes through, where it's like you get to a point where you're like, "Okay, cool. I feel like I'm out of my depth now." Like before, I was very comfortable. When someone comes and say, "Hey, can I get a logo? Hey, can I get a banner? Hey, can I get a design?" You're like, easy. Yeah, you know what? I'm the boss here. And then you go into a space and it's like 20 man staring at you down a long desk that looks like it can never end, and the room is dim and they're all wearing suits, and you're there with your creative shorted jeans, with your creative hat, You know what I'm saying? Your hair's probably dyed, and you're like mad creative with like paint stains on your shoes, and they're just there like, what can you offer us? Like, fam, you're gonna be like, whoa, okay, this is a bit much, and it's like about kind of like fitting into different spaces, and everybody knows their own tribe or their own like community. I guess when you're kind of taken out of that comfort zone, that can get you to overthink because it makes you think, are you doing it right if you look so different from everybody else? Like, I know as black people, like black men especially, we go through that when you're in spaces where it's like you might relate on the the what's the word, the privilege of being a man in the space, but then it's like, okay, cool, hold on, but you're not a white man, you're not this, you're not that, and you just have to kind of take those things into consideration, and it makes you always question yourself when you really shouldn't. True. When you really shouldn't. So I think the imposter syndrome is therefore like one of the things I know for sure gets me overthinking.
I agree. Especially the whole being a black man thing is true for myself anyway. I think sometimes like I want to say we, because I feel like there's quite a few other guys that do it too, but like not that we feel grateful to be in this space, but it's almost like I don't know. Sometimes I think, okay, why did you come to me? Even though I know that I'm like good for the job and stuff.
Overly qualified most times.
Oh, this is true.
Most definitely.
But it's like, I don't know, it's just a thought sometimes that's just in the back of your head, or sometimes you feel like you can't afford to maybe make a little mistake because you almost like represent your community in a sense.
That's it right there. Yeah.
And it's, oh God, because some people are mad and they'll be like, oh, that's why I will never work with so and so again.
Black designers, or look at them.
So unprofessional. Meanwhile, Jim.
Good old Jim.
So I think there's that as well. I'd definitely say, as well as imposter syndrome, I guess it's sometimes like forgetting who you are or like your previous achievements and stuff as well. Because I know for myself, I'm quite like future like orientated. I'm always thinking about what's ahead rather than kind of like reflecting on the present or the past. So even at times I've had to like remind myself, cool, like let's open your portfolio. I'm saying this like I had a portfolio at the time, but your folder of work.
Well, I remember asking Mac for
the couple pages
back in the day. So.
No, we need to. I have got one now, thank God, but before that was a mess. Need to sort out a website though. But yeah.
Trigger warning.
I think for so many of us, website, where is it? Your PDF portfolio, where is it? Where is
Jesus
it?
Christ.
But it's important to look back at those projects and be like, wow, okay, I did some really great stuff here. I love this work here, and celebrate like past achievements and stuff.
Do you know how I see overthinking and imposter syndrome? I think this example came to mind. Yeah, imagine you're climbing up like, I'm in year 6. I went on this retreat, but like this or whatever, like a fun week or whatever. And we had to climb up this massive rock climbing wall. Yeah. And the way I see like overthinking and imposter syndrome is like you climb up so high and you look down and you see that wow, if
man's high,
make the wrong mistake. If I make the wrong mistake, I could really, really damage myself or die. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like these are so drastic. They're on the complete end of the spectrum, right? But it's like we overthink these things. But how did we get to the top in the first place? Do you get me? And I think we just have to really understand, like, okay, number one, I believe that God is with me, so I cannot fail. And number two, I am qualified. Do you get me? I am qualified to be in this position. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I have the skills, I have the capabilities, so like I don't need to worry. But it's easier said than done, of course, but I think it's something you have to constantly remind yourself about. Otherwise, you're always going to be attacked by it. And I think, like what Michael was saying earlier, like, I don't want my ideas to die with me. I think one thing for me, the reason why I'm involved in so much stuff, and I think the main reason why I'm involved in so much stuff is that I'm young. What else do I have to do? When I settle down, when I have children, when I do all these different things, I can't be mashing works. Well, I may be able to, but I can't mash work to the ability that I am now. I don't think so.
Want to. Yeah, you got kids and stuff.
Exactly, you wouldn't want to. Yeah, so it's like, I think ultimately for me right now is like, the way I think about overthinking, like what Michael said again, like future thinking, like I like to think, okay, if I allow myself to overthink a situation, where will it take me? Do you get me? So now if someone asks me for opportunity, or say, yo, come and do this thing, the way I need to think about it is like, alright, if I say yes, where can it go? If I say no, why am I saying no? Am I saying no because I genuinely don't have interest? Or am I saying no because I'm too scared? If I'm too scared, I'm going to do it. And that it's scary, but it stretches you. Ooh, how can you be great if you don't stretch yourself? It's not possible. So I think that's maybe like anyone, like maybe that's a practical tip in terms of like how you can deal with it and stuff. But it's definitely a real thing, man. It's real and it's not easy.
So wait, are we saying that this whole overthinking thing always comes down to fear? Is what we're saying? Like literally.
Most definitely. Overthinking is definitely from fear. Because it's always the ifs and the buts, right? It's not. Overthinking comes from a like you're not certain about a situation. It's always shaky ground. Do you get me? So for example, like I may not start a project even though it's due soon because I'm scared that I'm going to flop or I'm scared or I have no ideas.
Yeah.
Do you get me? I think the starting point of overthinking is always fear. The way I see it anyway. But I don't know. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts.
I was going to say, do you feel like surrounded? I mean, I think it's more practical because I've definitely seen it work, but I don't know if you guys agree. Like surrounding yourself with people who might be not necessarily the opposite type, the opposite personality to you, but people, because you know, for example, some people are more dormant in their thinking processes. They're not necessarily overly proactive. And there's some people who are very, very reactive. So they might see you start something and they'll literally be like, let's go, let's get this done. I know for a fact that like the people who are around me, they're of both ends of that you know spectrum. There's some people who are very, very like, I've got this idea, I don't know how to start it. And there's some people who are very like, what ideas have you got? Can we start something? So I think I don't know if you guys agree again, but it's like, do you feel like that's kind of like important to make sure that people who you have around your ideas, not necessarily just around you, but more so your ideas, are always people who either fall on these kind of parts? It's almost like putting yourself in a position to be accountable to your own self. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna tell so and so this idea because I know the moment I tell them, they're gonna start asking like, yo, why going for that idea that you said you were gonna start? Like, you know what I'm saying? Almost to pull you out of that kind of overthinking space.
Those for me are the most important friends to have as well, man. Because it's like, it reciprocates as well. Like once they do that to you, you almost feel inclined to do the same thing to them. Do you get me? And I think most definitely, like whenever I put out an idea, the way I put it is it's almost like, okay, I've said it now. I've signed the contract. I've got to do it now. Do you get me? And I think like this thing ultimately is not I go back to the first episode. This thing is not ultimately like a self thing, like it's all about me, but this thing is also ultimately a collaboration thing. So you're collaborating with people, even if you're not collaborating with them creatively, you're collaborating with them like as friends to push each other to be better. You know, friendships are meant to make you better, both of us. Do you get me? So it's not meant to make you worse off. So I think surround yourself with the right people is definitely essential in that journey.
Thank you for supporting us by listening. Be sure to share your thoughts with us using the hashtag #RuleOfThirdsPod. Enjoy the rest of the conversation.
A lot of the time, sometimes you try and do this thing solo, which, you know, I think we all do, obviously, because, you know, as creatives and stuff. But it's important to have that community of people around you that you can either bounce ideas off or concerns or thoughts or like kind of anything, I guess, especially like when they are people that may understand similar things too, or they may have experience in other areas. Like, for example, Jude, you know how like you mentioned in, I think it was last week's episode about the invoice thing. Like, oh, if I'm not sure about how much the price, like a couple friends will send stuff over to each other to get an idea of like what the average kind of is. So sometimes it's things like that, and being willing, but or like allowing yourself to be able to lean on people as well. I'd probably say it's like one thing I'm really just bringing up my own dirty laundry, Jesus.
Yeah, I can't lie. Yeah, that was triggering still.
Yeah, but like it definitely is, you know, important. Not trying to like do it solo. Just be so fixed on okay, I can do everything by myself. Because I do think that is it for some people too. That you you don't feel like you can lean on people, but you can actually lean on like a community of people or even friends who may not necessarily be creative, but they can definitely be accountable, hold you accountable and stuff as well. So
yeah,
it's really important because that's how you're going to go the distance as well. Like you can't. Well, what's the quote? If you want to go, is it if you want to go fast? Is it fast?
Fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with some
people?
other person. Yeah, some guy.
We really butchered the quote, but
you know the thing, innit? You know the thing.
I was gonna ask, so for more so for the audience, but also just like so you guys, if you have any inputs, but like for those who feel like they don't have necessarily like a tribe or a group of people, because I know especially in the design community, there is this hierarchical. I think we spoke about in like episode 1 or 2 about how sometimes there's like this snobbery of like, I went to design school, you are self-taught, I'm this, that, and oh my god, look at that awful kerning. What the hell is this typography you're using? Comic Sans? That's laughable.
kerning, you know
what I'm saying? So if like for those who are out there, what advice would you kind of give them to those who kind of like are trying to find their community of like proactive and reactive people around them, especially in design or creativity in general?
That's a really good question.
Especially in a lockdown, it's
techie, innit?
It's different.
But you'd be surprised. A lot of people have found new friends in lockdown, you know.
True, very true.
You'd be surprised. But I think it's an interesting one. I think ultimately, what events are you going to? What pages are you following? What music are you listening to? Like, I feel like naturally you're going to find these people, and don't force it.
Yeah.
Because even like, for example, us three, for example, we've definitely seen each other around way before we even started speaking to each other, right?
Yes.
Do you get me? But it's like naturally we've come together.
Yeah.
Do you get? And I think ultimately, you just need to like let it flow naturally, man. Don't force it. Because I think right now, because if you force it, you end up finding yourself in the wrong tribe. I tell you that for facts. You know, you try to but the people that you get on with and the people that you vibe with, you will naturally get closer to them. Is going to happen.
Yep.
It's going to happen. Think about how you made your friends today, for example. Like, it's happened from like, you know, maybe, and some friends, for example, you met them 2 years ago, you weren't really cool. But all of a sudden, 2 years down the line, you're mad close.
I mean, really
it's just life. It just happens, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I think definitely don't force it, man. But yeah, I think you can definitely spot signs in terms of like, okay, cause I know I got a few friends that we listen to the same music and stuff, so immediately we connect on a level. Do you get me? And like, we can vibe on that sense. So yeah.
Yeah. You know. Michael?
I'd also say just don't be afraid to. I know we use this phrase for like relationships, but with friendships as well, don't be afraid to shoot your shot and just send a DM or a message. I know in this country.
Right. I don't know about that.
You don't know
generation.
I know, like in the UK.
Is man really sending a message? Yo, what you saying, my guy? Yo, you saying you're right, yeah?
Not like that. Not like let's be friends.
Like, yo, bro.
Like you said, don't.
Michael,
don't
you
force
said you didn't like someone messaging you saying yo. If someone messaged you right now and said yo, I want to be your friend.
No.
Yo,
there's an etiquette and there's a way that no. There's an etiquette and a way that you go about these things. It's not, hey, we should be friends. Let's be friends. Or yo, bro. No, especially if we're talking about like in a creative manner and we're talking about finding your tribe and stuff. Sometimes it can just be like I really like love your work. Please, I'd love to learn more about it. Or there's like certain people that I've connected with on social media, and it's literally just been through us finding each other's work and us having a conversation about the work. And then sometimes if we follow each other, it's natural, not like forced, but okay, so they put something on their story I find pretty funny. comment. But it's like, it's not in the back of my head. I'm not like, oh my God, we're going to be the best of friends or whatever.
Yeah, man. That's just weird, man.
Yeah. But it's like, oh, it's pretty cool guy, pretty great work, or pretty cool girl, pretty great work. And then it's just like a natural progression. But don't be afraid to comment on someone's post and be like, oh, really like what you're doing here. I know, like, in this country, in the UK, we're like, oh, you know, we find it weird. And sometimes we feel like we're begging it and stuff. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be so.
Reduce your pride. This begging thing, yeah.
So reduce your pride.
This has to stop.
Lower the volume.
Because it's like, lower the volume, man. Like, because who are we? Who are we? Let's be human beings, fam. We're mortals. Like, just shout people, man. Like, do you get me? And like we were saying, Michael, like, that's definitely how I connect with people. Like, if someone puts something funny on their story, or you know the ones where sometimes you'll be at like an event or something funny will happen, and you'll be laughing with a group of people. You don't know who they are, but like, just natural stuff like that. I miss those days. Do you know what I mean? Do you get me? So I feel like there's so many ways for us to connect with people, and like, I definitely encourage everybody. Obviously, we're screaming June 21st, God willing, anyway. But like, once these events start happening and stuff, don't feel like you need to be somebody that you're not. Yeah. Just be you. Yeah. Just be you. Because I find myself before where I go to events and I've got to be this person, but I'm not. Yeah. That's tiring. Do you get me?
Bro,
and there's people that are genuinely. Yeah, the people that will genuinely just like really like, you know, enjoy what you do and really support what you do, and those are the people that you need to be rolling around with. Do you get me? But like, it's exhausting, man. This comes to the overthinking part. Don't overwork your mind. I've got to be like this, I've got to be like that. No, don't worry. Be
yourself.
Be yourself. Yeah. It's fine.
Alright. I was gonna say, what's the name? That point about being genuine is like definitely important, because I've met so many people who are so fugazi, like, and you know the worst thing, they're not even trying to hide it. Like, especially like like, it's just so embarrassing because you can just see right through it. You're like, you're not even trying at this point, you know. But just to that point, I was gonna ask the second question. When as designers, like, at what point should we, like, actually no, can we even afford to be 100% honest?
In what context?
Yeah.
Okay, so firstly, in the context of design, like, can we actually afford to be like, okay, cool, this is actually good? Or because you know how, like, Mike was saying, like, hear me out.
I feel like I know where you're going.
You know how you're saying that?
Uncharted territories, you know.
Sometimes you're like, yo, just comment under someone's like amazing work. The work might not be
if
amazing.
you like the work, don't do it for work that you do not like, please.
I never do it. And the thing is, like, actually, I won't give myself away too much in it. But let me just say this. If I really like your work, you will know.
Yeah.
If you don't see me around, it is what it is.
Do you know what? But do you know what's funny? It's because there's so many people who, like, I know for a fact have told me, oh, I didn't like his work. Oh, have you seen that? That's so trash. But I've seen them in comments, with bare like smoke nose emojis, fire emojis, you know. And I'm just thinking like emojis. I'm just thinking like, wait, hold on a minute. You just told me you don't like the person's work, but you are under the person's comments with smoke nose emojis. Like, sir, madam, what's going on here?
Baby, no.
So I just think, like, you know, going back to that whole, and I think Burns touched on it earlier about like just being yourself and like not trying to have situations change you. And I get it. Sometimes you kind of have to protect yourself or be connected for the sake of being connected. But it's like, I just feel like as designers, sometimes we're not really afforded the luxury of being 100% honest. Because it's like, if we were to be very, very brutally honest, like, could we? Like, Michael, could you really, or Burns, could you really go on the timeline and like see someone be like, yo, that's trash, bro? It might not even be on public, but even if it's in private.
I feel like the UK is too small for that.
Yeah.
But also, to be fair, we're too small, but also like the culture as well, not gonna lie. Because it reminds me of when people are like, oh yeah, back in the day when people were like, oh, we should have a breakfast club in the UK. And people are like, no.
What's a breakfast? What's a breakfast club?
You know, like Charlemagne the God,
Charlemagne,
Breakfast Club. Oh, sorry, like the radio show.
Yeah.
We can't. That's not our culture. That's not our culture.
And also, how like imagine if someone was to say, "Oh, wow, I felt like can't think of an Stormzy. Oh, yeah,
scared,
I felt like that latest release from Stormzy was trash." Like, imagine if someone said that.
Yeah. Or
the response. And
with the UK man.
I don't God. I don't know how that would go down, but then also I do think it is important for us to be honest with each other. Just be like, okay, if something wasn't great, let me know that it wasn't great, or give me delivery as well. You know,
I think
delivery is important.
Yeah.
It would be nice to be more honest, but I don't want to say I don't think we can do that. I just think it depends on the relationships that you have with the people to do that. Because I'm not gonna lie, a random, I don't know. No. It's mad because when I see some like, I was literally it's reminding me of a lot of things that I've just seen. So like DC, for example, they've kind of did their own like showcasing of all their TV shows that they're gonna release soon, and I was looking at some of the logos for it, and in my head I was like, some of these.
Let me share my screen because I want to see this thing.
Awful.
It's not banging, is it?
And someone was like, like, do they need to borrow Marvel's team or something? And I was actually going to quote tweet and say, maybe they should have called Pentagram, because I know Pentagram did like Harley Quinn's film, the branding for that, as well as some others. But then
where did they put on the Instagram?
There again?
Where did they put the covers on the Instagram?
I think I'm gonna have to look. Maybe it's my quote, my drafts or something. When I find it, I'll share it. But I didn't post it in the end. But in my head, I was just thinking, it's easy for me to comment on people that I actually don't know, but to do it to someone that I do know, it's a problem.
Yeah,
it's a problem.
But isn't that strange? You'd think that the people you actually personally know would make it a much easier process to tell them like, yo, bro, I can't lie, that didn't bang. Try it this way next time, or have you thought about trying this? Not necessarily from a place of like you're awful, get better, but more so like, have you tried this, or have you like given the person a solution to the, not just bringing up the issue and just running away. Like that just makes no sense. But like in that kind of like helpful, I think in the UK it just feels like a very strange thing to just go to someone and like, bro, I love like I'll tell you this. Even this, it doesn't have to even be from designer to designer. I've seen so many musicians who have amazing music, but the correlation of that to the artwork or to their videos or to the creative direction is scary. It's scary because what happens is like they forget. Like I think a lot of people forget that to be an artist is not only to be doing one discipline, it's to embody.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Bro. So it's like when I see, like, I'll be like, yo, this song bangs, but I can't listen to it because that album art is not doing it, you know? But it's like, in that situation, how do you go about it? Do you just be like, yo, bro, I'm going to design a cover for you for free? Or, yo, sis, that's sick, but have you thought about doing this? Do you get what I'm saying? And I think after a point, it's like, you don't, I think even me, like, there's been situations where I've been overly honest.
Right.
And I feel like they've taken it the wrong way, and it's never been from a place of hate. It's always been of like bro, I love the music, but this I feel like you could work on. And it's always been in private. It's never been like in public. But you know, sometimes they don't necessarily take it well, and I feel like they assume that it's always from a place of like, oh, you think you know better than me, blah blah. And I think Michael touched on it earlier about like doing it yourself. I feel like not only in design but in creative spaces.
Yeah.
There's that idea of like, if you did it yourself, then suddenly you have more accolades.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, like, oh, do you know I did this, I did that. I was the person who was holding the lights, also the camera, and in front of the camera at the same time. Like,
not
you know what I'm saying? Fam, and it's just like, okay, you did all that, and what? You know, if the product isn't matching the quality of like the work that you as an individual should be creating, then what's the point? Like, why not ask for a helping hand or take the help rather than trying to do it all yourself for the sake of doing it all yourself? Like you get that credit, and what happens? Like you look at the credit, and it's literally just the same name. I can't like that's me most of the time, but you just look at the credits, it's just your name rolling through, like the same name over and over. DOP, executive producer, what's the name? Marketing strategist. Like it's just like if you have the hands to help, why not ask for it? That just makes no sense.
No, that's true. Like, what's more important, the art or your name?
Hey, put down the shirt.
Yeah.
It's true. It's like, okay, what do you want? The notoriety of people knowing that, oh, I did this all by myself. Oh, I think I told you guys this. I don't know if I said it on the pod, but I remember I was in a Clubhouse room, and these directors and writers were
you remember
talking
Clubhouse?
about coming up with shows. In fact, I don't use it anymore, but this was like
good times.
That place is scary, man.
I'm not gonna lie, I like the drama sometimes though.
You like the drama?
I was gonna say something so diabolical, but I had to pull myself back. Sorry, go through Michael.
Jude.
Please.
But yeah, this guy was like, because these were writers and directors that like had actually produced like shows for I think like BT and other like channels and stuff like that. And this guy was like, this guy came on, we don't need anybody. Like, oh yeah, I have a series on YouTube, and it featured who did it feature? It featured a rapper, a woman rapper. Oh yeah, like it got millions of views. It's based in New York, blah blah blah. And I was like, no. Then he even said, oh, my foot was broken, but I still took the camera and I shot everything. Blah blah blah. I was just thinking,
congratulations.
So
why is that very dramatic?
Someone else can't hold the camera for you. So I actually went like through his profile, saw the film, it was a film. I think it was like more than one film. And I was like, oh, I'm not gonna lie. I was like,
it's not good, is it?
I see why maybe like view wise like it did well, because I think it's about like gangs and it has that kind of appeal, right? So yeah, like, okay, cool. But then when I looked at like the actual work or like the quality of work, I was just thinking, could have probably got a helping hand to maybe make
or two or three,
many to make it a lot better and just help you tell the story better because you're saying, oh yeah, this, but then the output. So
the output. The output. You know, people get caught in this tunnel of like just seeing their own stuff and their own work and thinking they're great. And I think this is the funny thing, is the opposite of what we spoke about earlier, which is the imposter syndrome. Because people might be really, really amazing, but they think they're trash. And there's people who are really, really bad.
It's mad.
But they think they're the greatest thing. And I just like, God, where are they getting this confidence from? And the thing is that, like, I could tell you this. You could try to put them down and give them advice and be like, nah, I'm good. Don't worry about me. You know what I'm saying? I'm great. You know what I'm saying? But it's scary because, like, how can you be so confident in being wrong? That's just such a scary place to be in, where it's like no one can give you advice on how to get it better. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we're trying to do. We're always trying to get better at what we're already doing. So if someone comes and says, yo, that's amazing, next time you're doing a project, I'd love to help you with the lighting. I just like, or yo, I love the project that you did. If you're ever going to do it again, I'd love to be kind of like part of it. I do sound engineering or blah, blah. I'd really love to help out. Like, people might reach out like this and people might be like, nah, I'm good. My team got it. We good. And it's like, no, they're not. Like, just accept the help. There's no shame in like just accepting the help. Yeah. You know?
It's called I had to Google because I remember I like did like a guest article thing on something called like the Move Hub, a platform, and I just remembering now, I spoke about imposter syndrome and so mad. There's something called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and I'm just reading it out. So it says it's a cognitive bias where people who perform poorly on certain tasks tend to overestimate their own performance. The problem is twofold, since not only do people have a certain inability, they are also unable to acknowledge their inability, therefore overestimating their capabilities. And especially when it's not like checked or no one's like correcting it or anything. In their mind, they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Sometimes they're like, oh yeah, well, it's worked. I've got this far with my mediocrity. And it's but they don't see it that way. They're like, okay, I've got the results, even though the quality of those
2 million
results
followers,
might be
this, that,
a bit
this.
higgy.
Yeah.
2 million and then but yeah, and it's almost like in my mind it's working, but then for everyone else they're like, cool, might be working, but the work itself is a problem.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Wow.
It's a very mad place to be. Imagine.
Yeah, that's like
Everyone
borderline,
else
like
is
It's very
something else to
mad.
what you see.
you know what I'm saying?
Why would you want to like? Okay, I'm asking why would you want to be there? But like,
It's scary.
bruh,
Why
it's
would you
mad
want to
though
be there?
because it's like every single day I'm like I can be so much better.
Oh yeah.
Do you get me? Like it excites me, but it excites to the point that I start overthinking. Like, oh,
You see what I'm saying? It's such a weird little
Do you get me?
place
But
to be in.
yeah.
How do you
man.
find that balance of
the balance?
I
Exactly.
know I'm I can't think of anything else but the bee's knees. But like
bee's
I know
knees.
I'm the ish and stuff, but at the same time, I'm not am I, but it's like when the opportunity presents itself, it's like, oh, that seems like a pretty big mountain to climb. Am I actually ready to do it and stuff?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, the work's good enough, but also not overestimating yourself.
Yeah.
Because there are some
have to remain
projects,
humble,
for
man.
example, that people may take where they know deep down. Sometimes there's certain projects here where there are some that are above what you can currently do, but you know you can work towards it and you can
Yeah.
Stretches you.
and it stretches you. But then there's other projects where it's like
Nah, you
mind
ain't got the
your
qualifications, my G.
business.
You have not got the facilities for that, big man.
You know what it reminds you of, yeah? Like, say for example, you can fix like a bicycle, and someone brings their car, and like, yeah, I can sort that for you.
Like pretty much the same thing, isn't it?
Do you get me, bro? Like, it's just,
Give or take a few screws and that's it.
Screw, not even motorbike. You
God.
said it car.
and if anything, like those situations that you just decline because you just don't have the qualifications or the capability to do,
Yeah.
don't let that dishearten you, but let that stretch you, like, to the fact that it's like, okay, people actually coming to me for this. Maybe this would be a great place for me to learn and even expand my skills and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I think another thing overthinking that I've been thinking of is like, I think I have a lot of tabs in my head, like my Safari. I have so many tabs, bro.
Boy.
And it's like tabs of like, oh, I want to do this, I need to do this,
Yeah.
I need to do that, I need to do this, I want to do that as well. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I think one thing that's definitely helped me is journaling. I remember I was speaking to my friend and he personally doesn't like journaling, but he does like a lot of voice memos, you know, just to clear out his thoughts and stuff. And I think that's been really helpful because ultimately you know where you are. Your brain can't handle some of these things, man. And eventually that's when you go out into this place of burnout where it's like, oh, I'm fully flustered, I ain't got the energy, I just can't do it. You know what I mean? So take care of yourself before you get to the point of burnout, because trust me, there's ways you can prevent it and actually work more effectively. You know?
Yep. I agree.
Find your balance, find your rhythm.
All right. So what I was gonna ask you, Jude, was especially being someone who's a multi-hyphenate, you know, got your hands in many pots. How do you balance that? Because it's similar to what Bern said about having like multiple tabs because there's so many things that you want to do. How do you manage juggling all of these like things in a sense? Yeah. Because it's a lot of things.
Yeah, it's a lot of things if I think about it. I try not to think about it. I just do. But I think most of the time when like I like to pick up new skills, I find it like it's almost like what is it? It's almost like a collector. Like going around, you're like, ooh, I've gotten here, I picked this.
Infinity stones, man.
I'm saying, you know, when you're playing a game, yeah, and you're going up in the levels and you're picking up new skills, and you're like, now you can use this sword, and now you can use that sword. And you can use. That's how I see.
I love it.
What
else can I learn?
So it's like when I'm doing all these things, I never think about it like I need to take my hat off and put a new hat on. I always just think about it as like an add-on, because in my head, I've been a creative director for several years, so I always approach things in that way. Like I approach things as if they are, to kind of manifest it into like my reality, because it's like if you don't act like who you want to be, then you can't be who you want to be, kind of thing. That's how I see it. So anytime I'm like in these spaces and I'm doing things, I'm always keeping in mind that I do these things not because I'm going to physically always be doing them, but I want to understand how it works, because one day I'll be in a position, and I've been in some of these positions, to hire someone else to do something. So I need to understand how that works, so I understand the worth of that position, how much that person is worth in terms of like payments, and also in terms of how valuable that person is to a project in general. Like for a very long time, I didn't understand what a gaffer was until I got on set and I saw what a gaffer did, and I was like, without a gaffer, it's a bit peak for everybody in terms of lighting, and you know what I'm saying. What, just like a geezer? Oh, I'm so done.
Just a football coach.
So I'm saying, so it's
Legit,
like these little things, like I never like took account of it, or took it like too seriously, until like you start to realize like every single role is important. But me personally, in terms of like just figuring out like, okay, cool, I need to take a break from, let's say, production in terms of music, and maybe start doing some graphic design stuff. I just feel like there's a season for everything. Like right now, I'm definitely like burnt out in terms of photography, so I'm not going to take photos for a while, because I don't necessarily feel inspired to go and take photos. But the moment I do, I will realize that something takes the back seat naturally. It's never by force. I'll never be like, okay, cool, from now, no design. It's always a thing of like, it just happens. Like I'll take a photo, then that photo will turn into me making a book, and then the book will turn into me making music accompanying the book, and the music will turn to me taking a few videos to accompany the book, and then the book becomes the thing I sell. Then it says all these skills play a part in the process, but it's never all at once. It's always like, okay, cool, I've done this part, let me go into InDesign and become a graphic designer again. Then I need to take that design skill and then translate that into, let's say, let me make a short thing or a short video or some music to accompany. You know what I'm saying? It's always like, it's creation. It's creation. And I think a lot of people, creatives in general, do things that they don't even realize they're doing, because it's so subconscious to them.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm
Even
saying?
things like copywriting, fam. I didn't realize that I really do enjoy copywriting.
There you go.
You get me?
See?
But it's something
like,
that is just writing.
It's just there subconsciously.
Yeah, subconsciously, you know? And there's so many different like gems that all of us have, and I think we do need to really observe ourselves and what we do and analyze. Okay, what is, and it's bro, it doesn't have to always be about making money, you know. Sometimes just enjoy it. You know, for me, I've got a camera. I take pictures here and there, but I just love taking pictures.
Yeah.
And but the other day I went out and literally like took out, like this was like I think the November lockdown or December, we had hella lockdowns, but I think the third or second lockdown. Yeah. And I went out and I took pictures and I made a whole playlist cover from it. Do you get me? So it's like, and that was fun. I'm not making money from it. I don't have to, but it's just like, I'm expressing myself. I'm seeing life from a different perspective, you know, and I think ultimately it's important to identify those gems that, you know, we've been given.
Yep. I was going to say even Michael's a perfect example. Like, as much as he doesn't want to say it, but like for example, the video that you dropped today, well, probably when people are listening to this, probably a few days before, or maybe a year, I don't know. But like you putting the effort into not only designing it, but creating the sound design around it, and then actually like shooting the video, and then directing how that looks, then choosing how like it feels.
I'm smiling, guys.
I'm saying, like, you don't realize, but only in that short clip, which was like probably less than 12 seconds or so,
bro,
you've done more than 6 or 7 different jobs that a whole crew can do. You know, and in essence, what you've done is you've directed creatively a project. You know, and I think a lot of people don't realize that they're doing this, and this also comes to that conversation of people. I know Burn said it's not always about money, but people always get paid, or not even necessarily money, but like just appreciated in their roles way less, and work much more than they're supposed to. So you go into a role as an intern or whatever, or you just go in there as a designer, but then you end up being
the value that you bring is you see what I'm saying? Insane, bro.
So it's just about understanding, like, when you go into these spaces, or even when you're doing your own projects, like, understand that you're not there for just one thing. You're never there for one thing. You're never there for just one thing. You're always there for 4 or 5 different things, you know. Just understand that that's like your worth.
Yeah.
Put that to use.
That's why I love the creative industry, man. Because with the creative industry, like a man could enter, or a woman could enter a place, whatever, and leave there. So they entered as a graphic designer and leave there as a coder. They could enter somewhere as copywriter and leave there as a photographer. Like literally, the creative industry is so amazing. I think don't limit yourself. If you like, I think gone are the days where we just do one job and then that's it forever.
Yeah.
Like as a creative, you have the ability to do so much more. And again, if you don't have those capabilities, ask for help, collaborate.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. Do you know what I mean? Because even, I can take photos, but I'd rather go to someone that I know is going to be better than me. I can do the, what do you know what I mean? Like, there's times and seasons to choose. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to today's episode of Rule of Thirds. Feel free to share your thoughts with us using the hashtag RuleOfThirdspod. And for more from us, follow us on Instagram at RuleOfThirdspod, or our personal accounts for myself, Burns JNR,
Mike at _ man like Mike,
and Jude at Kente Kwame.
Catch you guys in the next one.